This is Soko guy, and in my previous videos, I was mentioning that I had a new winch, and I want to be able to use that winch in this trailer receiver uh, hitch receptacle and put it on my tractor. And this is a 3-point that I got off of Amazon. It's not well made. It's kind of chintzy. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this piece of 1/4-inch steel plate to reinforce the base of this, and also use it as a battery box in the back. So the battery will be located here, and this will all sit right here on here like this. The battery will be here, and then the front of this plate will be used to reinforce this steel here as we're pulling on the winch. So first off, a shout out to Mrs. Roof's class in Gosport, Indiana. You guys are a bunch of bright kids, and I really appreciate you watching. Hope you guys have a great life, and don't ever forget to stop learning. So anyhow, we're going to use the plasma cutter, and we're going to cut this piece out here, and we'll clean things off and weld this to that, and build a box in the back for the battery, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, we got our piece over here, and we're gonna use our plasma cutter and cut this out. You can buy a magnetic straight edge for cutting with plasma, and they're pretty salty, or you can go to Northern Tools or one of the other stores and buy one of these tool holders, and they're about $4, and they're magnetic. They come with little magnets in the back, and you mount them to a wall with these 2 holes, and you put your tools on them, like I've got some over there. But the only thing I found that doesn't work too well on these is the epoxy they use is not made to be taken off and put on again. So I use a little extra epoxy and put the magnets back in here, and put some tape over it to keep the metal filings from drawing into there. And they work just great. So Harbor Freight, $4, magnetic straight edge. Okay, so now we've got our finished plate, still a little hot. Cut out, I'm gonna have to grind it down. Grind the back surface of this this frame, get the paint off of this, and then this will mount right on here. Kind of like that. And so we'll get some reinforcing here in the front, and that'll be welded, bonded to this, and the back will build a little box to hold the batteries and or the battery, and then we'll put a couple of feet coming down off of this plate to put it on the floor so it'll be at the right height where it's not too cumbersome. Let's see, let's get this couple C clamp. Had to change from a grinding disc to a flat disc, couldn't find my tools. Okay, I think we're ready to start doing some welding. Oh, that's probably good enough for government work. As any good backyard welder knows, flat disc is the best tool in the world to make ugly welds look good. So on the hitch, I determined I need about a foot off the ground to fit my hitch. So I could just back right up to it. So we're going to take some regular old rebar here, which I've got plenty of. And since it's a foot, it doesn't matter, that 100 pounds on top isn't going to wiggle. So we'll make some feet about 10 inches long, and I'll bend up the ends of them so they won't catch on anything, and I'll make a stem up about a foot, and we'll weld those to the bottom, and then I think all of our welding will be done. So This 2 for the upright legs and 2 for the feet, and I'll put a little radius on these ends here. Could make it look attractive, like chicken feet or something, you know. Got one of these old tape measures I ought to just throw away because it stopped. The button doesn't work when you try to tell it to stay put. We'll measure out about 1.5 inches on both ends here. These feet. Hopefully that doesn't pop out of there and bust me in the jaw. It's just barely hanging on the back side. We'll see what happens. Good enough for who it's for. So now I've got my feet. I just got to weld these feet on the stems and weld them on the bottom. Okay. Now we'll weld these little feeties on here. That probably ought to work for us. I probably ought to put some gloves on. This metal tends to get hot and burn your skin when you don't. So. Now we've got to also find out where the center of it is, weight-wise, because you don't want to put a lot of extra weight on one side or the other of this, or she'll just fall right over. So we'll figure that out somehow. So this little rig here is what I've got hooked up. Try to find the middle of balance. And I put the battery back about a 1/4 of an inch because it's going to have the metal enclosure around it. So just try to get things even. I have a feeling my plans for feet aren't going to work out too well because it looks like center's going to be a little closer to here than where I'd hoped it would be. But we'll just see how bad it is. I've got just a piece of steel rod here. I'm going to lift this up. Got a little hoist system here, and the point I've got right now is right here in the front of this, which would have been ideal. But we'll see how far off it is when we lift this thing. If I can get my pulleys working right. Oh yeah, it's going to be way off. And we'll see where the middle's going to be. So there's the front edge of the hitch, and looks like the back side's still carrying a lot of weight. So yeah, we'll have to figure something out. We'll go ahead and find the middle while we're here. And looks like it's going to be a little closer to about an inch from from the winch, maybe 2. Boy, that's a heavy winch. So I'm gonna have to have a more stable platform, evidently. And I've got to consider if I ever take the winch off, plug it in something else. There she goes. Then I don't want this to tip over backwards either. So now that I know where the center is on the planned weight, then we'll figure something else out. So I'm sure you heard the term 3 feet or better than 2. And if you hadn't, I just made it up, so you can use it. Anyhow, found out the center point with a winch on it's going to be about 3 inches out here. So I'm going to put this 1 foot on the back, and then I'm going to cut 2 pieces of rebar to come out 45 degrees up to that 3-inch point and bend down. Kind of a weird thing. Or go up as we got it right now, and then put 2 feet on that. And I think we'll be good and stable that way. So that's the plan. I got my rebar back out, so I was done with it. Yeah. So I figure that's the center point. The 2 will connect in the back when I'm done, and I'll come out here 10 inches and go up 12 and put enough in there for radius. So I'll just weld those on there when I'm done and put some bends on here and put feet on them, so we'll see how that goes. Well, here she is. This is the basic frame. I didn't have enough Kubota orange paint to finish it, and I didn't put the basket on the back where the battery's going to go. I'll probably use some of this steel mesh over here and fold it like I did one of my other projects and put a little rim around it. So anyhow, this is just a bare frame, and so yeah, it's looks like a Mars lunar lander experiment gone bad. What do you think, Mont? Did we do a good job? Yeah, he's undecided. So here it is. It's all loaded up, and I've got the winch in the front and sitting on a pretty little 3 feet. Batteries in the back, minus the little cage around it. But I will take this unit and set it in the corner, and then when I need to borrow it for one of the vehicles or plug it into the tractor, it's all sitting there and ready. And again, this was a XRS X-Bull 13.5 winch that I used here, and I like the way it pulls so far. I hope I don't have to use it much. I'll make some little keepers for those cables so they look a little more neat and tidy when I'm done. But basically this is it. So thank you for watching, and we'll see what else we come up with next.